Hey guys, and welcome to Natural Aesthetics. This is a physique transformation video carrying on from a YouTube video I did when I first started my channel. I've been training around 15 years now, give or take a year. The first kind of 2 to 3 years was mostly just fitness work at home, clean and press with a bar, pull-ups, curls, forearm curls, sit-ups, stuff of that nature, a lot of running and general sports. It wasn't really until 2005, I think, that I started training in a gym environment consistently. So it's been around 12 years in the gym. And for the first few years, I'd say up probably until 2010, training was mostly just, that was always very intense, always very consistent. But it was kind of, unorganised. I didn't really have a great idea of what I was doing. Picked up a lot of injuries during that time, problems with my shoulder from benching too heavy, technique issues. Didn't really squat that much until kind of later 2010, 2011, when I started to work as a personal trainer. And then in 2012, I really made a point of working on squats, and I actually did Smolov, the Smolov-based mesocycle, once during that time before I went on holiday to Thailand, and put on some good size doing that. I then did it later, actually. I've done it twice since then, but the first time was fantastic in terms of the progress. I also dabbled around with kind of like mini bulk during 2012 and some really significant cutting. Again, didn't really know what I was doing, certainly wasn't tracking calories, just consumed less food, less carbohydrates, did a little bit more cardio than usual. This was when I did Smolov the second time in 2012, and then started to bulk after I'd come back from my holiday. And again, that was the first time that I'd actually kind of committed to a bulk as such and eating more calories. I'd never really been a big eater before, and you can see that I'd put on some decent size in that time. 2013, I was carrying quite a lot more muscle mass, especially in the thighs from doing the Smolov. Really focusing a lot of my energy and intention on squatting and trying to get better at squats. Taking it maybe from 100 kilos to 140, 150 kilos. Then 2013, I decided to compete, and I started dieting down for the competition in summertime. And I think this was probably the first time that my physique was looking, relatively balanced in terms of upper and lower body, and having a nice structure, and having decent balance between muscle parts. My training around this time was pretty good. Form was a little bit lackluster on some of the exercises. I used to really like going extremely heavy on some exercises and using momentum on a lot of different kind of accessory exercises, like dumbbell curls or dumbbell front raises, extensions, whatever. I'd always go really, really heavy, and I was kind of still doing that at this time, kind of maybe tapering it down a little bit. I placed third in the competition that I did. I thought that I looked pretty damn good. I was at least happy with how I looked, and in terms of the shape of my physique and the level of conditioning that I managed to achieve, given that it was my first proper diet. I dabbled the year prior, but I'd never really done a proper competition diet before. So then I bulked all the way through after the competition, late 2013, and then 2014 was the year of the bulk. It was the year of heavy lifting. I focused all of my energy on squats, deadlift, bench. I did mad cow routine probably 3 times, upper, lower. It was just all heavy lifting all throughout that year. And I think I got up to 101.5 kilos at one point. My strength was through the roof. So I didn't enjoy this at all. I was basically force-feeding myself, consuming on average between 3,700 and 4,500 calories per day. As much as I didn't enjoy it, I did benefit from it. Not only in terms of the muscle mass that I accumulated, especially in the lower torso, from lifting so heavy and gaining so much strength in a relatively short period of time. Then going into 2015, I decided to compete again and started the long diet down. Of course, the heavier you get, the longer you have to diet. Second competition was in September, and I thought I looked pretty decent, probably not quite as lean as I would have liked, but still happy with the progress that I'd made in the year prior from the very heavy lifting that I'd done in 2014. Clearly a lot more muscle mass, a lot more on my hamstrings, and just overall solid progress, I think. And then again, going into the latter half of 2015 to 2016, I bowled, but much more gradually than I'd done previously. Still maintaining a relative amount of leanness. I'd say that kind of body fat I'd be very happy with maintaining, maybe a little less consistently. And that continued in 2016, didn't really get too heavy, so I was kind of interested in trying out some new ideas, new philosophies on training. I wanted to try something else, so I just focused on machines during 2016 mostly. Fairly happy with the progress I made. I think that became obvious as we move towards 2017. Again, I started to diet down for a competition with the mindset of beating my performance in 2015, and things were going really well. I was happy with the amount of muscle mass that I'd put on over the last couple of years, especially on my upper body. I guess you could say that training in 2016 was a lot less concerned on heavy squats, heavy deadlift, stuff of that nature. I didn't do as much as I'd done in the years prior. I think my physique was probably more balanced, and I'd let my upper body perhaps catch up a little bit. But unfortunately, throughout this year, I had a scalp problem that kind of just got worse and worse, and it was unsightly, very, very painful, and I was trying to heal it as best as I could with a natural diet. During this competition prep, I was eating barely anything. I think, some days I was well under 1,000 calories because I was fearful of consuming gluten, sugar, dairy, basically you name it, I wasn't eating it. I was just surviving on vegetables and lean protein, and that was it, basically, for a good couple of months at least. So I decided for that reason to kind of knock it on the head and not compete. I didn't want to have to get on stage worrying about my scalp, and I didn't want to also compete not being 100%, due to eating so little food. However, it just goes to show that you can still function. I still was training hard, training heavy, consuming such little amounts of food. And then I decided to try and sort my scalp out. Things were not improving, they were getting worse. So going forwards, I really do believe that I can add a lot more muscle to my physique as a natural bodybuilder. I'm nowhere near the peak of my muscle mass and strength, and nowhere near at all, I'd say. There's so much that I can do to improve my training and my overall diet and lifestyle to help accumulate more muscle mass. My main priority is to heal my scalp and to continue taking the medication that I've been prescribed. I'm nearing the end of the course of the corticosteroids, and I've been taking Roaccutane for a month now, and I'll continue taking that for the next few months, and that should heal the scalp completely. I think I'm going to try and make the most of finishing these corticosteroids when perhaps my body might be a little bit more sensitive to training stimulus, given that I've trained a little bit lighter and a little bit less intense than I have done prior. So realistically, if I want to compete next year, September, I'm going to have to start thinking about dieting January, February, March at the latest. So, I think I'm probably going to compete in 2019 and use the next 12 months to really put on a solid amount of muscle and see if I can better the physique that I achieved in 2017. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to see more, subscribe to my channel, give it a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Stay strong.